wanted to show some of the tricks that Rhett knows how to do. So he knew how to do quite a few little tricks that we would play with. And I never really filmed the process of doing it, but just kind of me messing around with it. So if you're looking for a process video, I would look at Sebastian's video and the Mustangs, but I don't have like ones of like Spanish walk and stuff that Rhett does specifically, so I'll have to work on that. But yeah, he did some tricks and he did some livery stuff, but he knows how to do Spanish walk. So, and he's pretty, he loved doing that. That was one of his most favorite behaviors. So he could do like 4 or 5 steps there and then I'd reinforce him. So he was quite good at that. And then we were also working on doing that under saddle. You'll see that in another video. But I'll have to make another video and teach that to another horse of mine. Um, but yeah, my cue here was me picking up my leg and then I would tap him behind the shoulder, but he really liked to do that on his own. He would offer it quite a bit too. So, but I taught him that I think by tapping him behind the shoulder and then he'd pick up his foot and then I would shape it from there. So, and he enjoyed that behavior. He knew sideways toward both sides. Sometimes he would get confused, like it's not perfect, but you saw how to do sideways toward with Sebastian, and I taught it a little bit differently. With Rhett, I used both of the whips. I used a lot more negative reinforcement. With Sebastian, I used the targets and positive reinforcement. So there's many different ways that you can do it. And still within those two things, there's other ways to do it besides just those two as well. So, um, but we had played with a little bit of Liberty stuff too, and he can kind of do some Liberty circles and whatnot. But um, I think I'm asking him to spin here. He also knows a spin, kind of like Sebastian's spin, and it's just kind of like not correct, but he just kind of tilts around and does it, and it's very cute. So I like his little spin, and he liked to offer this behavior as well. He thinks I'm asking him for sideways toward. So because the cues are very similar, but then he figures out the spin is, and he's turning around on that back side of the spin where his tail's kind of facing to me. That's when I'm clicking, and then he comes around um, and finishes the spin and gets his treat. There, now he's like, see, I need to differentiate my cues because see how I had just had that left arm up? He's thinking that's sideways toward because that's my cue. I picked one arm up, and sideways toward is the behavior I was looking for. But this one, I need to make sure that I'm doing two hands in one direction so that he has a little bit more of a difference between the cues because they're already very similar. So if I just do one hand, he's definitely going to be confused. So here he's offering that sideways toward again. I ask him for the spin, and he's he's kind of just wandering. He kind of does like a circle and then a little spin around. But I liked his little spin. I thought it was pretty cute. And I kind of left it at that as well. Like I could have made it different, um, but I like it like that. See, now he's just kind of doing a circle, and then he would come around, and then kind of spin. Let's see if he can do it again. There we go. He could kind of do two spins. I think he only spun to the right though. I don't know if he went to the left. I think we only did it one direction. And asking for that spin again. Sometimes, like, I can see watching this back that I'm not being very clear with my cues. Because sometimes I'm asking him with one hand, like I had my left arm up that I was talking about. Then sometimes I have two. Sometimes I'm just asking with the whip. So I could definitely see why that's confusing for him. See now, like, how I'm asking him. And he's thinking side pass toward, and then he ends up doing that circle instead. Because I'm not cueing him the same every single time. So I'm getting a different behavior every single time. Here I think I was asking for a spin and then let him go out onto a lunging circle, or maybe I was asking for a lunging circle, but that's the point, is that I can't tell. How's he supposed to tell, so my cues are way too similar and I need to make sure they're very specific and they're the same every time because he's just going to be very confused if I'm watching it back and I'm not sure what it is that I wanted him to do. So I think I'm asking him to kind of step over onto a lunging circle with my whips here and bend around me. Yep. Yeah, see, that's also very similar as I have like my whips kind of at his belly kind of area. And it's lower, but it's similar to that spin cue. So I need to be very consistent and have very specific cues and possibly even more different than these ones. But yeah, he could do a little bit of liberty lunging just kind of in the round, and I think we did a little bit in the in his pasture as well. But I'm just asking him for a couple of steps where he's kind of bent around me, and then I'm clicking and feeding. And then I'm asking him, thought I was asking him to turn in here, but I might have been just trying to draw him in a little bit, so he wasn't quite as far away. And that was a nice bend. You could see his neck was turned toward me. He was looking at me. He was stepping under with that inside hind leg, like right there. Kind of did like a hind quarter yield, but I think I'm reinforcing that he was looking at me pretty good. So I had to get some more food, and I just let him hang out in their round pen for a minute. The other thing that I did wrong at this point in time was I would not plan enough food, so I would run out, and then I would leave him in there, and that's negative punishment, like I'm taking reinforcers away. So I didn't know at the time that I should leave him with food, and then like if I need to go somewhere, and then come back, so he's got something reinforcing when I leave. There he did a little bit of nice trot there on the lunge. Get him asking for more bend. Here I'm kind of bending toward his hindquarters so that he doesn't leave and go out like on the rail of the round pen, because we're still kind of working on him maintaining that distance with me. And that's probably why we hadn't worked on Liberty circles in the arena. I didn't really work on Liberty circles a ton with him. We mostly did a lot of time with the Spanish walk and the sideways toward and stuff and the spin. We didn't do a ton of Liberty circles. That was kind of a new thing for him at this time. See how I kind of asked him to change direction? He thought spin. Again, very similar cue. He's just confused, and that's why he ended up going that other way. I don't think I realized that at the time either. Nice little trot as he goes on his Liberty circle. And really, this is a fine distance. Like, as long as he's not immediately going to the rail, I'm cool with this. Like, if he stays on the rail at one part, but he stays off of it on another, I'm okay with that. That was actually decent. I just don't want him immediately going to the rail and going around on the rail, because I do want him to stay off and stay with me so that I can go into bigger places. So I'm asking for that hind quarter here, trying to bend and kind of catch that so he's not going out quite so far. There, that's a better distance. I want him around me, and not just the rail. But I didn't build these Liberty circles up real well. Again, I was just kind of clicking random things instead of building up a behavior. So we definitely should have started more like on the line, just him walking around me for a couple of steps at the correct distance, and then trotting and cantering, and then taking the line off and doing the same thing. So he could do 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, at Liberty, around me, and then building it up from there. Like here, I'm asking him to go forward. He's thinking about spinning, because me asking him to stand out onto the lunging circle is almost identical to the cue for spin. So he's giving me spin, and then he's going out into the lunging circle. So he's just confused. So no big deal, but a voice cue would have definitely helped that if I just teach him like spin, or like some kind of different hand signal or a combo, so he knows, because it is very similar. This looks really good. I like this trot on the circle. I think I'm too focused and fixated on him being a little bit closer, even though he's staying at a good distance and he's trotting and maintaining that connection and not just leaving and going on the rail. So really, I think that was better than I thought it was. Um, I think I was just reinforcing that hind quarter, like coming away from me and stepping under like that, because that's what I wanted him to have and maintain that. And once I really stopped using like mostly like negative reinforcement stuff for lunging, the Liberty circles really came together. If you watch the Mustangs videos with their lunging, yeah, it was pretty much easy from the start, because they got reinforced for staying with me and following the target, and they just have a better reinforcement history with it, versus chasing, and then it made my job a lot easier. So again, I'm asking him to go out onto the circle. He's thinking spin, because it's very similar. So he's just confused. I'm gonna bring him back, and then draw him in there. I want that bend right there where he's kind of stepping underneath and coming around me. But yeah, if you want to watch the Mustangs videos, you can see their lunging Liberty circles are much different. They're a lot more correct, a lot sooner, and I had to do a lot less work. So. But I like this this size circle. I really don't want him super close to me, just in case he would get excited or something. He's a big horse. He could kick me or run me over or something. But that was a good distance for him. So I guess I could have definitely reinforced him for just moving out and then not quite as much bend. I think I was asking for too much bend in the beginning, which having a lot of bend while I circle around, especially in a small circle, is very hard work. Especially for him, because he was 16, 1. So That's a lot of horse to really bend in that circle. That's a lot of work. So for a smaller horse, it's going to be a little bit easier, but still harder work than being on that big circle or a straight line. So this looks decent. I like that. I like that he's staying with me. He's not going to the rail. This actually looks really good. Um, so I need to reinforce that because really, especially the trot, I don't need to be really asking for a whole lot of bend at this point because that's going to make it even more difficult if I'm asking for bend and speed. So this looks really nice. I definitely should have reinforced more because he was really trying hard. He was just confused.